After studying this module, one shall be able to know OB models, analyze behavior modification as a corrective behavior strategy, know the ABCs of behavior modification, identify types of reinforcement, learn organizational applications of behavior modification, evaluate whether organization behavior modification OB mod is a form of manipulation. An organization is set up to achieve a destined goals. Money, materials, machine methods and manpower, human resources are assembled, mobilized and utilized to perform jobs for attaining organizational goals. It is human resources who perform works, jobs and use various other resources efficiently and effectively. Human behavior at works has a profound impact in achieving the organizational goal. If human behavior at works is not productive and supportive, the attainment of organizational goal will suffer. Supervisor and manager at all levels and of different roles required to be interested in the study of how people behave at works. Such study must enable them to understand, predict and modify human behavior of their subordinates. Hence, supervisor and managers must devote their time and efforts in understanding individual and group job behavior. Note it well that only understanding is not enough. On the basis of the accumulated knowledge gained so far, they should be capable of predicting job behavior of their subordinates, how each of them is likely to behave at his or her job. Such prediction is to be made while dealing with them. More importantly, a supervisor manager is required to modify individual behavior, make job behavior productive and supportive by applying the knowledge, understandings, prediction skills about human behavior. Molding human behavior is not an easy task. It is both interesting and challenging job for all level of managers, supervisors. Shaping, modify, molding behavior is technically called as behavioral modification in the language of organizational behavior. It has been emerging as an efficacious tool of organizational behavior. Behavior modification is a deliberate effort to mold individual behavior by guiding his or her learning in graduated steps. It is concerned with systematically reinforcing each successive step that moves the individual closer to the desired response. It is a label used to refer to techniques designed to change employee behavior on the job using reinforcement theory. Behavior modification is rooted on the idea that behavior depends on its consequences. So it is concerned with making employee behavior productive and supportive by manipulating their consequences. In other words, it is shaping individual behavior into new patterns that most benefit the organization as well as individual. Behavior modification. Behavior modification is the traditional term for the use of empirically demonstrated behavior change techniques to increase or decrease the frequency of behaviors such as altering an individual's behaviors and reactions to stimuli through positive and negative reinforcement of adaptive behavior and or the reduction of behavior through its extinction punishment and or satiation. It is similar to operant conditioning but does not search for the antecedent. In addition, organizational behavior modification (OB-MOD) is a form of management in an organization. Hence, it can be said that OB-MOD is a form of manipulation through management. OB-MOD can be wide in a positive way by giving incentives to employees and by motivation, but in a negative way in a form of punishment and demoralization. The ABCs of behavior modification. When we look at behavior modification, it is helpful to break it down into the ABCs where A is equal to antecedent, B is equal to behavior and C is equal to consequences. According to behaviorists such as B.F. Skinner, almost all behavior can be broken down into the ABC components. Ante means before. The antecedent occurs before the behavior while the consequences occurs after the behavior. Imagine if all the behavior could be explained by these three simple boxes: antecedent, behavior, consequences. How simple it would be to change, manipulate or control your behavior or someone else's behavior. Behavior modification, a corrective behavior strategy. This approach to motivation and dealing with problem behaviors is based on the application of learning theory to people in the workplace. Reinforcement theory has been used in many areas of study, including animal training, raising children, and motivating employees in the workplace. Reinforcement theories focus on observable behavior rather than personal states, like needs theories do. Reinforcement theory focuses on the environmental factors that contribute to shaping behavior. Simply put, reinforcement theory claims that stimuli are used to shape behaviors. There are four primary approaches to reinforcement theory: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, extinction, and punishment. Reinforcement theory, which is a form of operant conditioning, includes several components. By analyzing its steps, the law of effect, and the possible approaches to achieve desired results, we can understand the value of the theory through its application within the workplace. Here is a model of OB-MOD, also called social learning. Let us now understand the types of reinforcement. The organizational behavior modifications theory or the reinforcement theory deals with changing behavior through rewards or punishments that are essentially contingent on performance. It is primarily based on the following two principles: a behavior that leads to a positive consequence, that is reward, tends to be repeated, while a behavior that leads to a negative consequence, that is punishment, tends not to be repeated. Managers can influence and change an employee's behavior through properly scheduled rewards or punishments. According to Hewitt and Hume, 1997, four methods are employed in operant conditioning: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment. The table below is derived from the table created by Hewitt and Hummel, 1997. Positive and negative reinforcement. Reinforcement theory provides two methods of increasing desirable behaviors. One is positive reinforcement and the other is negative reinforcement. To avoid any confusion, we can think of positive as a plus sign and negative as minus sign. In other words, positive reinforcement give plus what individuals like when they have performed the desired behavior. Negative reinforcement remove minus what individuals do not like when they have performed the desired behavior. In the case of negative reinforcement, it is important to remember that negative does not mean bad, just the removal of an unpleasant stimulus. Positive and negative have similar connotations in the application of punishment. Negative punishment, extinction, and positive punishment. Reinforcement theory provides two methods of eliminating undesirable behaviors, that is, positive punishment and negative punishment. Punishment creates a set of conditions which are designed to eliminate behavior. Burns, 1995. Positive punishment. Give plus individuals what they do not like when they have performed the undesired behavior. Negative punishment. Remove minus what individuals like when they have performed the undesired behavior. Organizational applications of behavior modification. Employee productivity. Most of the organizations use behavior modification techniques to improve employee productivity. Absenteeism and tardiness. Absenteeism and tardiness is another major area where behavior modification is applied. Studies revealed that some combinations of rewards, for example, small monetary bonuses or lottery incentive systems for attendance or promptness and or punishes absenteeism or tardiness. Safety and accident prevention. Most of the manufacturing firms and others in which dangerous equipments are used are very concerned about safety and interested in decreasing accidents. Application of reinforcements have led to reduction of identifiable safety hazards and increasing safe behaviors among employees. Turner Corporation, a New York-based engineering and construction firm where employee can earn company stock if they meet safety goals. Sales performance. Sales managers and trainers have traditionally relied on internal motivation techniques to get their salespeople to improve their sales performances. The effective application of OB-MOD techniques have been found in improving selling behaviors such as customer's approach, suggestive statements, and closing statements are identified, measured, analyzed, intervened, and evaluated would be an alternative to motivate a skilled teaching approach. By using a combination of antecedent and consequence intervention strategies, dramatic improvements were noticed in areas of wine and dessert sales. Customer transactions, customer resistance, sales forecasting, sales call frequency, sales of telephone services, and airline reservation. Ethical dilemma. Is organization behavior modification, OB-MOD, a form of manipulation? Manipulation is defined as a skillful or artful management by dictionary.com website. Another definition of manipulation by the root word manipulate is to manage or utilize skillfully by Merriam-Webster Dictionary. While OB-MOD can help to motivate a change in behavior within organizations, there are ethical concerns that need to be considered in the use of OB-MOD. in an organization. The first ethical consideration is that OB mod can compromise an individual's freedom of choice. The best interest of the employee is not always considered when the reinforcement strategy is implemented. The OB mod may benefit the organization by increasing production but may not improve the situation for the employee through personal or professional growth. The second ethical consideration is that of potential manipulation. When the desired behaviors are set in place by the managers, the employees may feel as though they have little or no choice but to follow the behavior suggested by management. OB mod, like other behavior motivation techniques, possesses the potential for misuse. The macula framework, as a broad framework, will justify the use of OB mod of managers in manipulating the behavior of employees. Utilitarian, whether the action maximizes the utility of the issue or to achieve the greatest good for the most amounts of people using OB mod will realize the goal of the company and will produce profit to the shareholders and wages for the employees. Justice and fairness, whether the action has equal and fair effects on all involved. OB mod is not equal and not fair on all involved, especially for the employees, since they are the only ones being manipulated. Rights and duties, whether the action violates any rights or imposed duties. OB mod violates the individual rights of every employee to think for oneself and by having only limited choices. However, OB mod has not violated any duties of the employer when incentives are used, but violates the duties when deductions of wages and benefits are used in the form of punishment. Ethics of care, whether the action has any adverse effects on the immediate stakeholders. OB mod has adverse effects since the employees are considered one of the immediate stakeholders positively or negatively depending on the method of use. Virtue, whether the action violates any virtue. OB mod deceives the employees by believing on limited choices. In summary, OB mod is unethical by 4 out of 5 ways. Only in terms of the utilitarian view does OB mod become ethical. However, OB mod can be also viewed as a reaction of managers to employees' bad behaviors and bad results. Hence, OB mod can be ethical in order to restore order and make the employees effective again. Hence, OB mod's ethical position depends on the proactive and reactive state of managers and company to the employees. Proactively as unethical, but reactively to bad employees as ethical. In addition, OB mod is viewed as a solution to problems in a company for managers. Let us summarize. The understanding of OB mod is relatively old and very powerful, yet it is seemingly underutilized or more often done incorrectly. What is very clear is that it should be done scientifically and quantitatively and not in an ad hoc manner. In spite of the above limitations, as indicated by critics, organizations are increasingly applying behavior modification as an efficacious tool of shaping, molding individual behavior, productive and supportive in the attainment of organizational goal. What is crucial is that the behavior is correctly defined and presented in a measurable manner. Furthermore, organizations should work on the idea that employees want to please, a fact when fully accepted, will remove aversive management and, for example, promote feedback and variably reinforced praise.